Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aseem Singhal. I am a full-time trader. Today I'm going to talk about one indicator which is known to give very good entries, but the same indicator actually does not give us very good exits. Yes, I'm going to talk about an indicator called Alligator, in which there are three moving averages, and it is known that if you use Alligator for entries, we'll get very precise entries. That means when the stock is just about to go up, it will give us an entry, or if you're talking about a sell trade, when the stock is just about to go down, it will give us a selling trade. But we'll also see if we use the same indicator for exits, most of the times our exits will be very slow. But before we discuss all that, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel. So let's start today's video. So in this indicator, basically we have three different lines, and if you're talking about long build-up, that means if you're looking for a long entry, for a buying entry, you will notice that all the three lines will be expanding. So the upper line will be the fastest moving average, and the lowest line will be the slowest moving average, and the difference between all the three lines will keep on increasing. So that's generally the first indication that the stock is going in a particular direction. The second thing is, if the stocks are moving upwards, so all the three lines will be going upwards, and that gives us a second indication that yes, the stock might go really quick, and that is a good time to buy. Similarly, if we talk about the selling trade, in this case, all the three lines will be expanding and all the three lines will be going down. So all the three lines will be moving on the downside direction. This will tell us that yes, the stock might go down and we might do a selling entry. But as I said, it is very important to note that if you're using Alligator and if you want to take exits, most of the times you'll notice that you'll have a very slow exit. That means the stock would have actually made much more profits, but by the time we actually get an exit based on Alligator, the profits are almost gone. So that is why I never use Alligator for my exits. I only use it for my entries. Also, Alligator tells you when not to trade. When we see that all the three lines of the Alligator indicator are entangled, that means they're very close to each other and they are more or less in a sideways direction, that is a time to stay out of that stock and we can trade in some other stock. So let's see some examples and some more details about how we can trade using this Alligator indicator. Let us see some more examples of how the Alligator strategy works. As I said, most of the times, right, this indicator works when the market is trending. So it will give you very good entries, but the exits are not that great. But please note that only 15 to 30% of the times the market actually trends. Rest of the time it is not trending. So we have to find the right stock. That means we can get a very good entry using this Alligator, and generally we can take exits based on our target points. So we'll see some examples of that. To put this, it's pretty easy. All we need to do is just add the Alligator. There is we don't have to change any settings. And when you add the Alligator, basically you automatically get three lines onto the chart. So when you get the three lines, the topmost line, in case of if we are talking about long buying move, the topmost line, that's called the lip of the Alligator. The second line is called the teeth of the Alligator, and the third line is called the jaw of the Alligator. So that's the naming convention that's used when we talk about the Alligator. So now let us see how do we determine whether a stock is in uptrend or downtrend. The first thing that we need to do is we find out when there is a crossover. So at this point of time, we can clearly see that all the three lines are now pointing upwards. So that's the first step. But we are still not sure. We have to make sure that the three lines, the distance between these three lines keeps increasing. If that is happening, then we know that yes, the stock is going in uptrend, and this is where we will be buying the stock. So maybe we can buy it somewhere here after we get a confirmation that yes, all the three lines are actually expanding, and we will buy it because this is in an uptrend. The stock is in uptrend. Let us see an example when the stock is sideways, or which is also called that the Alligator is sleeping. At this point, right, in this entire range, you can see that all the three lines are actually very close to each other. All the three lines are actually very close to each other, and they are not expanding. This is telling me that yes, that the stock is actually in a very sideways movement, in a very sluggish movement, and I will not be taking any entry at this point of time. I'll probably wait, or I'll go to some other stock. Now let us see an example of a downtrend, and this time I'm showing you Bharti Airtel, but again you can see this in a lot of other stocks, and I'm showing you on a 1 hour time frame. In this again we require like a change of direction. So we can see somewhere here that all the three moving averages has started to show on a downward direction. So that's the first step. But again, this is only the first step. We need a confirmation, and the confirmation is that the three lines, the distance between the three lines is actually expanding. So you can see that the initial distance was less and then the lines are expanding. So this is telling me that yes, now the stock is in downtrend. So I will be more inclined towards taking a selling entry. So now let us see some stocks examples, and we'll first take some buying examples and then we'll look at some selling examples also. So I'm showing you JSW Steel on an hourly time frame. So our first rule, which is the crossover, happened somewhere here where all the three moving averages started to point upwards, but we will not be taking entry right here because we are not yet sure whether the all the three averages are going to expand. But here or here we know that yes, it is actually expanding. So we may take an entry somewhere here. This can be our entry point, and our stop loss can be the previous swing. So this can be our stop loss right at the bottom. So this can be my stop loss. And in this case, again, I might want to take a 1:2 kind of a trade. So whatever is my stop loss, let's say in this case, my stop loss is around 20 points. So I can take a target of 40 points. And as you can see, if we do that, most of the times your target will get hit. Now, important thing to note here is that if we wait for the exit based on Alligator, that means if we wait that the Alligator will move down and it will do a crossover, most of the time what you will notice that all the profit, right? Because in this case we had a big profit. But if we wait for the Alligator exit, most of our profit is almost gone. Most of the profit is almost gone. And that is why we only take the entry using the Alligator. We will not be taking the exits using the Alligator. Let us see one more example. In this again, I'm showing you a buying example because there is a crossover and the distance is increasing. So again, we might take an entry here. This can be our buying entry. This can be the stop loss. And again, if we put a 1:1 or a 1:2 trade, it's a very safe trade, you can say, because the stock went up till here. So even like a 1:2 profit was possible. But again, if we waited for the exit based on the crossover, you will notice that most of our profit are gone. So it's very important that whenever we are using Alligator, it's very good for entries. It gives us very good entries, but I've noticed that the exits are very slow. Let us see some more examples. Again, I'm showing you one more example on buying, and I'm showing you on HDFC Bank, again on an hourly time frame. It's not necessary that you always trade on an hourly time frame. When I show you examples on Nifty and Banknifty, I will show you on different time frames. But again, you can see here that here is the crossover, and this is where somewhere the expansion is happening. So I can probably buy here. So this can be my entry with this as my stop loss, which is the previous swing. And again, you can easily see that market went up till here. So it again gave me a 1:2 kind of a trade. So 1:2 is a very safe trade that I've seen when I trade with Alligator. And again, even in this example, we can clearly see that if we waited for the crossover, most of our profits are gone. So as I'm telling you quite a few times that generally when I trade, I don't use the exits from the Alligator. Let me skip this example. Let me quickly show you some selling examples also now. So I'm showing you again HDFC Bank on an hourly time frame, but this time I'm showing you a selling example. So we are having a crossover here because all the three moving averages are now pointing downwards, and very clearly you can see that the expansion is happening. So we can probably take an entry somewhere here with our previous swing as the stop loss. So this can become our stop loss. And again, we can see that we've got a 1:2 or maybe 1:1.5 kind of a trade. And even in this case, if we waited for the crossover to happen on the other side for exit, most of our profit is gone because the stock actually fell till this point. But by the time we take exit, it's almost here. So we will only have a very small profit. Let's take one more example before we move on to Nifty and Bank Nifty. I'm showing you JSW Steel again on an hourly time frame. This is a very clean crossover happening. So my first condition is true, and I can see very clearly right from the word go that my all the three lines are expanding very quickly. So I can probably take an entry somewhere here with this as my stop loss. So again, I have a stop loss of maybe 20 points. So I'm looking for a 40-point kind of a trade. And you can see that the stock kept going down. The stock kept going down. It was easy 1:2 kind of a trade. So as you can see, where I like this indicator is that it can give you very good entries. But what I do not like about this indicator is about the exit. So I've told you one idea, that whenever I take an exit, I try to go for a 1:2 kind of a risk to reward. But I will also show you when we do live examples that I use RSI also for an exit. You can see this example, last example, before we move on to Nifty Bank Nifty. We got a selling crossover here, and you can see that the stock kept going down. So this was like a not even a 1:2, maybe 1:4 or 1:5 kind of a trade. So it kept going down and it was a great trade, right? Great. So now I'm going to show you some examples on Nifty and Bank Nifty. Showing you example on Nifty here. I'm using a 5-minute time frame. Let me add the indicator. So I'm just going to type Alligator. You'll find Williams Alligator, and as soon as I click it, you'll find the three lines here. So these are our 3 moving averages. Now let us see where we'll get our trade. So we can see that there has been a crossover somewhere here and the lines are expanding. So maybe we get an entry here. So this can be a good entry somewhere here. So our entry might be around 18,560 levels, 18,560, that can be our entry, and we are selling it. So my selling price is 18,560, and in this case my stop loss is pretty big because my previous swing is somewhere here, which is around 18,630. So I have a stop loss of almost 70 points. That means if I'm looking for a 1:2 trade, I'm looking for 140 points kind of a profit. So my target is somewhere around 18,420. So that is my target. Again, I'm trying for a 1:2 kind of a trade. And as you can see, the stock went almost till 18,420. In fact, a little lower than 18,420. So it gave us all this profit. We could have come out based on 1:2. And that could have been a good exit, because if you see, after giving us the profit, all the lines started to go up, and still the crossover is not complete. So maybe the crossover gets completed here, but most of the profit is already gone. Most of the profit is already gone, as we saw in our stocks also. So similar thing happens in Nifty Bank Nifty as well. So again, we try to take exit based on risk to reward, which is 1:2. Let's take the last example, and let me add Bank Nifty this time. So I'm showing you Bank Nifty, and I've also added the Alligator as well as the RSI at the bottom. So now I'll show you how I use RSI in this case. So we'll get an entry somewhere here. So as you can see, there's a clear crossover. So I'll get a buying somewhere here. That is my entry price, somewhere around 43,500 maybe. And now I will exit when my RSI touches 80. So if you see here, my RSI has actually become 80 right at the top. So this is the time when I'm actually going to exit. So my exit is probably around 44,000 or maybe a little less. So it's a very good profit, right? It's almost 500-point profit in maybe 1 to 2 hours. Again, as we have seen, if we take the exit based on Alligator, you can see that the stock went down after giving us a profit. It came down almost at our entry price. So same thing like what we have seen so far. I will take the entry based on the Alligator, but for exit, either I will go for a 1:2 risk to reward, or I can exit based on RSI when it is above 80. So I hope you liked today's video. We saw how we can take very good entries both on the long side and on the short side using the Alligator indicator. We also saw that if we take the exits also based on Alligator, then our exits is not that very good. And that is why we might use some other indicator like an RSI. That means when RSI becomes more than 80, if you're going for a long trade, that is a good time to maybe take an exit. If you like today's video, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.